346. The Way of Union. Presence of God. Lord, give me light and strength to root out of my heart all that hinders me from being united to you. Meditation. 1. God communicates himself most to that soul that has progressed farthest in love, namely, that has its will in closest conformity with the will of God. J.C. as I. 5:4. In ordinary life, true love is manifested in willingness to do what pleases the person loved, in conforming oneself to his desires, tastes, and will, not willing anything which could displease him. The soul unites itself to God in the measure in which it is truly conformed to his will. It is evident that this union cannot be perfect as long as the soul resists the divine will, be it only in very small things, or does not accept it readily, or as long as it retains desires and tastes which, even in a very slight way, are not in harmony with the will of God. The whole spiritual ascent to divine union consists in a double movement, very simple, but essential: despoiling oneself of all that is displeasing to God, and renouncing all that is in opposition to his will, by conforming oneself to that will, and fulfilling it with the greatest love. It is an extremely simple movement, but at the same time an all-embracing one, because it extends to every circumstance of life, without exception, so that in all things, the greatest as in the least, the soul acts in a manner that is in perfect conformity with the divine will. It is also a very profound movement which must reach even to the most secret recesses of the spirit, in order to free it from the least residue. The last resistances of egoism and pride, not only eliminating their manifestations, but undermining their very roots. As long as this work of total purgation is incomplete, the soul's will cannot be totally conformed to that of God. Its numerous imperfections and imperfect habits are still opposed to this entire conformity. Only the soul that has attained complete conformity and likeness of will has totally united and transformed in God supernaturally. It needs, then, only to strip itself of these natural dissimilarities and contrarieties. ZBZD. 2. If we examine ourselves attentively, we shall see that our will is still very dissimilar to God's will. God wills only the good, and he wills it in the most perfect manner. We, on the contrary, often will evil together with the good. Moreover, we lack the strength to do the good that we will, and we realize it only imperfectly. Every time we commit any fault, even a simple imperfection, we desire something that God cannot will. These faults include slight acts of slothfulness, negligence, impatience. They may involve a subtle seeking of self, or the affection and esteem of creatures. There could be numerous secondary motives which secretly insinuate themselves into our actions. To attain to divine union, all these must be eliminated. St. John of the Cross says expressly that it is not only beginners on the spiritual road, but even the proficients, who are subject to many imperfections, and still retain imperfect habits, proceeding especially from a subtle pride and spiritual egoism. As they have exercised themselves for a long time in the interior life, a certain presumption and self-assurance may easily creep in, through which these souls are exposed to failings in humility and reverence in their relations with God, while in their relations with their neighbor, they often fall into the weakness of desiring to be esteemed as perfect. Furthermore, as they are not entirely detached from themselves, they stop to enjoy, a bit egoistically, the spiritual consolations they receive in prayer. Thus they distract themselves from seeking God alone, retard their union with Him, and even expose themselves to falling into the snares of imagination, or of the devil. Cfdni 2:2. All this proves how deeply pride and egoism are rooted in us. Scarcely have we detached our hearts from earthly vanities and material goods, than we are immediately ready to attach ourselves to spiritual goods. Yet we must not despair of attaining divine union. We must seize the occasion of our misery to beg with greater insistence that our Lord may deign to complete the work of our purification. Moreover, He desires it more than we ourselves, and if He does not effect it as He would, it is only because He finds us refractory, impatient, little disposed to accept in good part what humbles and mortifies us to the core. Yet this alone is the way to reach union with God. Colloquy. As long as my will desires that which is alien to the divine will, has preferences for one thing or another, I remain like a child. I do not walk in love with giant strides. The fire has not yet burned away all the dross, and the gold is not yet pure. I am still seeking myself. O Lord, you have not yet done away with all my resistance to you. But when the crucible has consumed all tainted love, all tainted pain, all tainted fear, then love is perfect, and the golden ring of our union is wider than heaven and earth. But in order to attain this I must die daily to myself. O Jesus, I wish to die, to decrease, to deny myself daily more and more, in order that you may grow and be exalted in me. As a little one I dwell in the depths of my poverty. I see my nothingness, my penury, my weakness. I see that I am incapable of progress, of perseverance. I appear to myself in all my destitution. I prostrate myself in my wretchedness, and recognizing my state of dire need, I spread it out before you, my divine Master. As far as my will, not my feelings, is concerned, I set my joy in everything that can humble me, immolate me, destroy self in me, for I want to give place to you, O Lord. I no longer wish to live by my own life, but to be transformed in you, so that my life may be more divine than human, and that, inclining unto me, the Father may recognize your image, the image of His beloved Son, in whom He is well pleased. ETJ 2-3